We are the readers, and our group members are Emerson, Jacob, Bilal, and Reed. Today we will be comparing two very different but influential literary movements, Imagism and metaphysical poetry. Imagism is a modernist movement from the early 20th century. It focused on sharp, clear, and concise imagery instead of sentimental or abstract writing. Imagist poets used direct language, specific details, and free verse to create vivid images. The movement began in London around 1908 to 1909. Imagism is characterized by direct treatment of the subject, concrete sensory imagery, free verse, concise language, focus on a single moment, no moralizing or unnecessary explanation. Imagist poetry avoids extra words and focuses on precision. Imagism began in London literary circles with a group of poets who wanted to move away from overly decorative Victorian poetry. It was influenced by Japanese haiku and classical Greek lyric poetry, both which value simplicity and strong imagery.
Imagism developed during early modernization, before World War I. This was a time of rapid industrialization and cultural change. Many writers felt disillusioned with the cultural values and forms. As a result, poetry shifted towards minimalism and experimentation. So some major figures are Ezra Pound, H.D., also known as Hilda Doolittle, and William Carlos Williams. These writers helped define the movement's emphasis in clarity and image. Some major works include In a Station of the Metro by Ezra Pound, O Reed by H.D., and The Red Wheelbarrow by William Carlos Williams. So, an excerpt from O Reed is that H.D. describes the speaker commanding the sea to rise and crash against the rocks. The poem blends ocean and forest imagery, comparing waves to pine trees and water to pools of fur. The strong verbs like whirl and splash and hurl create movement and intensity. Instead of explaining emotion, the poem expresses it through vivid imagery. This reflects the Imagism's goal, presenting one clear, concentrated image without unnecessary explanation.
Metaphysical poetry is a 17th century literary movement known for its intellectual and philosophical poetry. It combines emotion with wit and logic, often exploring themes of love, religion, and mortality. Key characteristics of metaphysical poetry include extended metaphors called conceits, logical argumentative structure, paradoxes, religious and romantic themes, dramatic openings, and structured rhyme and meter. Unlike Imagism, these poems often build complex arguments. Metaphysical poetry began in 1600s England. It developed as a reaction to traditional Renaissance love poetry, and the movement blended emotional expression with philosophical reasoning and was led by John Donne. This movement emerged during the Protestant Reformation, the Scientific Revolution, and religious and political instability in England. These changes influenced poets to question faith, time, and mortality. Poetry became more intellectual and argumentative. Major figures in metaphysical poetry include John Donne, George Herbert, and Andrew Marvell. These writers are known for their clever metaphors and deep philosophical ideas.
Some major works in metaphysical poetry include The Flea by John Donne, A Valediction Forbidding Mourning by John Donne, and To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Marvell. These poems use extended metaphors and persuasive arguments. In this excerpt from To His Coy Mistress by Andrew Marvell, the speaker describes time as a winged chariot chasing him. This metaphor creates urgency and emphasizes that life is short. Marvell uses this imagery to persuade his mistress that they must act now instead of waiting. The poem blends logic, fear of mortality, and emotional appeal, which is typical of metaphysical poetry. The similarities between Imagism and metaphysical poetry is that they both break from earlier poetic traditions, value originality, use strong imagery, and focus on intense emotional moments. Even though they are centuries apart, both challenge readers to think deeply. The differences between the two are that Imagism is from the 1900s, it's minimalistic, it's free verse and image-based, while metaphysical poetry is from the 1600s, it's elaborate, it has structured rhyme, it's argument-based, and uses extended reasoning. Imagism focuses on one clear image, while metaphysical poetry builds a logical argument through metaphor. In conclusion, Imagism strips poetry down to a single powerful image. Metaphysical poetry builds complex intellectual arguments through extended metaphor. Both movements challenge readers, but they do so in completely different ways, one through clarity and brevity, the other through depth and reasoning. And this is our works cited.